right, welcome into Are You Cirrus, episode 73. We got a fun episode planned.
I'm so excited about this one.
So excited.
This is going to be fun.
Also, should we just go ahead and announce?
Yes.
Okay. Before we forget, because we know we will, we're going to be doing a live podcast the week of CCMF.
Yep.
June 4th. It is a Wednesday. And it is at Grand Strand Brewing again. They invited us out there, wanted us to do another podcast. We wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Great setup. It'll be Wednesday before CCMF, so traffic shouldn't be bad.
Not crazy. We were originally going to do it Thursday, and we were like, you know what? It's probably going to be too crazy with that. That's the kind of the kickoff night. I think that's Rascal Flats.
Yes.
Thursday night. Yeah. So we're like, yeah, let's do it Wednesday before it gets too crazy. And have a good time.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So we hope to see you out there. That will be 7 p.m. Obviously, come out earlier for dinner and drinks and happy hour and all that. And we can't wait. We'll have more details to come. So also, welcome in. If this is your first time, like, share, comment, subscribe.
Rate.
Yep. I always forget one. But forget Rascal Flats or Jelly Roll or Laney Wilson. Mm-hmm. We got the headliner for today.
We definitely have the headliner. Let's jump right into it. His former chief described him as a redneck with a YouTube channel.
I love it.
as a reference from the movie Twisters.
Yes.
So here he is, our redneck with a YouTube channel, and also brand new meteorologist here at WBF News, Jace Passmore.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
I moved all the way from the Ozarks to the beach, so it's a huge change.
How's that change been going?
I'm still getting acclimated to kind of like the warmer, more humid climate because in Arkansas this time of year, temperatures aren't in the 80s or 90s just yet. But out here, by noon, it feels like it's 95 degrees, at least to me.
Yep.
Get ready.
I would never know you're from Arkansas based on that accent.
Yeah, I do. I have heard that I have a pretty thick Southern accent.
So I come from Kentucky. We've talked about this. I had a thick Southern drawl.
Yeah.
It's good to have a little bit more country on our weather team.
These two have bonded over their country vibes. I got into work this morning, and softly in the background, the country music was going.
Yeah.
So
this is coffee. Not moonshine.
Yeah, there it is. So so Jace, you came from our sister station KAIT in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where you were born and raised.
I was, yeah.
Arkansas native, and now you're here. And let's jump into it. You're a storm chasing fanatic.
I am.
I don't even think that's the right word for it. You're just obsessed.
You're obsessed with storm chasing, and I'm trying to convert you onto the dark side of hurricanes. You're not there yet. I'm going to get you one or two, and you'll be obsessed with hurricanes. But you're the tornado chaser. You're the guys from Twister, and you go big. You don't do like we chase. We're like, I'll go up to Aner for the afternoon. Like a couple of weeks ago, you left Arkansas, went to Nebraska, saw a big one, right? Big one. That was a really big one up there. And then, of course, Arkansas has just had an insane severe weather season so far.
Yeah.
And you were out there on all the big ones.
I was definitely going through kind of like a dry spell. I missed a couple big ones in Arkansas. I got a couple that you really couldn't see. They were just too wrapped in rain, and that's kind of the thing out there. Some of those tornadoes, that they're just wrapped in rain. You can't see them.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask the question because you drove. How long was it to Nebraska for the chase that you went?
So I left Arkansas at 2:45 in the morning. I think I was getting to Nebraska after the storms have already formed. So probably around 5:45 in the afternoon.
Is that the farthest you've driven in a day for storm chasing? If not, what is?
Probably from Jonesboro to just east of Billings, and then it was
Montana.
And then it was a blue sky bus. We didn't get the forcing that all the models were kind of depicting, so there was actually not a single storm. So I was in Montana for about 5 hours, and I turned around and drove back to Jonesboro because there was no storm chase the next day. Wow. But models depicted a really good setup. I believe it was one of those enhanced days where they had that 10% chance of a strong tornado. This was in late 2020, and we didn't see a single storm. We had a couple tries, but I mean, they were just rain showers. Montana, still beautiful. Still had a great time.
But
Good friends, but yeah, I barely got rained on, and then I drove back to Arkansas.
oh, wow.
And then my other friend drove back to Pennsylvania. So
Oh, that's even worse. But you have done a couple of hurricane chases.
I have Hurricane Idalia.
Idalia, yep. That was 3?
That was 23.
Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
They all blend together
So
eventually.
that was actually my first time flying as well. That was the getting on the airplane was much more terrifying than anything I knew I was going to experience during the hurricane.
So you're from Arkansas. Obviously, you grew up there. What got you into weather? Because usually it's an event, usually it's a fascination, maybe it's being scared of storms. What was your story in getting into weather?
So one of our big tornado days was Super Tuesday.
Okay.
And we had a little hill farm or a little cabin that's near Mountain View, and that's where that EF4 came up. And going out the next day to check on the cab and all that and seeing that tornado damage. And I think it might have been 10 or 11 in 2008. So seeing all that damage just kind of like distilled that in me. What?
8 in 2011.
Yeah. I was in high school.
We're
but-
so old. No, you.
Yeah, I'm not as old as I do remember that day vividly, though.
Yeah, I do remember 2011.
Yeah, 2008.
Eight.
Super Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do remember that.
big event.
Man.
Definitely for Arkansas, that was a really big event.
And so from there, you were hooked on tornadoes.
Yep. I stayed home from school on April 27th to watch the wall-to-wall coverage from different news stations and from the Weather Channel with the tornado outbreak in Mississippi and Alabama.
2011.
Yeah, that was in 2011.
Yep.
So we're obsessed with tornadoes. We're obsessed with storm chasing. And I think I asked you this when we talked. Why broadcasting? What gets you into broadcasting? Like, what's your fix with it?
Getting out in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy doing. So, like, in Jonesboro, I did a lot of school visits, a lot of severe weather awareness events. I would travel, to the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, and just seeing how much broadcast has grown over the years. I know you can probably relate to this a little better.
I do. Yeah.
But just seeing, we recently, the entire company switched to the Grade 1 graphics. So, I mean, just being able to upgrade and see just how cool things are now. We were working on a graphic where you're able to take a cutout of South Carolina and tilt it and see it in like a three-dimensional perspective. So just being able to work on those, I'm not, just a huge graphics guru fanatic, not knowing how to do all the things you, of course, know how to do. But being able to work on that and make cool things that go on TV is kind of the fun part.
I feel like, too, we're in a fun little period where when we have someone new come in, traditionally the training is, all right, here's how we forecast, here's what to watch for, here's how to write a web story and radio. Jace knows a lot of it.
Which was definitely the benefit of hiring from sort of within the sister company. Again, KAIT there, our sister station. Your former chief, well, he's still the chief there. Your former chief, Ryan Vaughn. He and I go way back. And again, he's the one that called you the redneck with the YouTube channel.
Go Tops. He's a hilltopper.
I did not know. I didn't know he called me that. But
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a great teacher, and I was very fortunate to learn from someone like that, going directly into the business.
Yeah. And Ryan's a legend there
Yeah.
in Jonesboro, Central Arkansas area. So once I got the good reference from Ryan, I was like, all right, yeah, I think maybe we'll hire this guy.
And I think we were already, or you applied, or something happened, and it was the recent outbreak. April. What was the date?
April 2nd, and then we also had another one. I can't remember the date there. It might have been April 30th.
It was later, but the April 2nd one, I remember turning on and watching Ryan and you in the storm chasers. I was like, I could even tell before we talked, this guy has it.
Yeah.
Like, he gets it.
Yeah, I was watching too. I was like, yeah, he'll work out good. So you ain't going to be chasing like that around here. I'm not going to see anything like you saw in Arkansas, but, you might get a low cloud hanging over some trees somewhere over the swamp, and it might rotate for a minute.
Oh,
and,
but then we get the bigger rotating storms coming in here.
Yeah.
With the hurricanes.
With the hurricanes, yeah, but those aren't really chaseable. put you out on the beach and maybe want to come hauling at you at 75 miles per hour.
I like it.
In an outer band, and you just got to wait for it.
And then we get in the eye wall, get the storm surge, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to be out there.
So, I mean, when a hurricane is forecasted, at what category do you start seeing this place turn into a ghost town?
We haven't really been in ghost town mode for a while. Hurricane Ian was our last big impact, and Ian was really a weird hurricane if you were here. Obviously, Ian, huge impact in Florida. And there was a big question about after crossing Florida, one, how much would be left, and two, was it going to sort of cross Florida and go way out, or cross Florida and kind of ride up? And Ian was literally full of surprises up until the last minute when it decided it wanted to make landfall just south of us in Georgetown County and bring the third or fourth highest storm surge. But that one didn't really get a panic mode until maybe the day before when we realized it was coming in. Probably our last sort of big one was 18 with Hurricane Florence. That was panic mode, because there was a time about 4 days ahead of Hurricane Florence where the Hurricane Center forecast track had it landfall, Myrtle Beach, Category 4. And it was like, okay, this is the big one. All 3 evacuation zones were ordered out. Everybody left. This place was an absolute ghost town freak out.
Yeah, we haven't seen a evacuation like that since.
Yeah, we haven't had any evacuations since 2018.
So
yeah, but once evacuations start going up, I think everybody's like, oh yeah, this is real deal kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a unique experience of the first time I ever chased a hurricane. Was, like I said, Hurricane Idalia, and we went to Keaton Beach. We were on the beach. We had to cut our way out with chainsaws trying to get away from the storm surge. But so it made landfall around 5 a.m. So we got there the night before or the day before, and talking to some of the locals, we met a local named Pork Chop. He's wrote out every hurricane there. I forgot what hurricane it was, but he was some of the other locals. The sheriff was telling us how the Coast Guard had to come get him in with a helicopter because he was on the roof of his house. Refuses to evacuate. Yeah, but he made it.
Good.
But the sheriff said this place usually had 20 or 30,000 people in it, and it was just ghost town. You had Pork Chop and the local sheriffs riding around. That was it. And then you had a few storm chasers in there as well. But this hurricane, it was forecasted to make landfall as a Category 4, a high-end Category 4. At one point out over the open ocean, it was pushing Category 5. It was down to like 920, 915. It went through a few eye wall replacements, and then it went through a failed eye wall replacement as it was coming onto shore.
It really kind of spun down quick as it was coming in, which was good for those folks. Not exactly what a chaser wants to see, but yeah.
So I believe it made landfall near Keaton Beach, and then further down towards the south, we had our surge camera there, and I think it was like 13 to 15 feet of surge.
I don't want to do that.
And then we had to wait until the surge. They closed down the area for rescues, and we couldn't get to our surge camera before mine and my buddy's flight left. So we had to send another friend. Our flight left from Destin to go back to Atlanta. So we drove from Central Florida back to Destin. Our buddy dropped us off. Then he drove the 6 hours back to get the surge camera, and then the 9 hours back to Atlanta to get on his flight.
Oh, mercy, these chasers are crazy.
they're built different.
They're built like I could have done it at his age, but now.
No, and I love weather, but I live through the Twitter now.
Yeah.
I'll see on big severe weather days, like on those days in Kansas, I just have to delete X. I get FOMO. I have to delete X. I can't get on Facebook.
Having withdrawals.
Like I'm in a group chat with a bunch of storm chasers. I have to mute it. I won't go in there for a week.
Wow. Yeah, we got us a bona fide weather freak.
I mean,
weather nut.
I can't wait, and I can't wait to put you out there and just say go.
Yeah.
Just go.
Yep.
And just let you have at it.
Go find something.
And we talked about this yesterday. South Carolina averages over between 10 and 15 tornadoes. Am I wrong?
A year, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm sure that some of those years are skewed with big tornado makers. You said Hurricane Helene was a big.
Yeah, we had a lot of tornadoes with Helene.
Dorian was also a lot of tornadoes.
We had a lot of tornadoes. Now, we did have some big tornadoes with Dorian.
Yeah.
Some EF2s, which for here is big.
For you, you're like,
I don't even mess with it unless it's an EF3. EF2 isn't worth my time. But yeah, every now and then. And then, we'll have, what year was it? We had the big day after Easter outbreak a couple of years ago. It was a Monday when we did have like sort of very classic supercells.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was down
Allendale,
across
Walterboro.
Allendale. What was that, an EF3?
And a 4.
8 to 4,
Yeah, down there. So every couple of years we'll get a decent sized outbreak. But yeah, nothing like that. Our last high risk day, level 5 day, was 2011.
And that was with that same.
That was the April 27th, 2011 outbreak.
So it's going to take a generational event to get a big tornado day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be okay. You'll get your fair share of weather here.
Yeah. And we'll get you hooked on water spouts and all the other fun stuff we get.
Sea breezes, we were talking about that, forecasting that.
Yeah.
It'll be nice challenge for you.
Yeah.
When it's not weather, because we know you literally eat, sleep, breathe weather. You were telling me, like, even just watching weather videos or videos of space, big space junkie here, too. Tell them the video you were watching the other day.
Pulsars and magnetars.
I have no idea what those are.
And I thought I liked space, but not to that. I like the rockets.
Now, you do know we can see rocket launches here.
Yeah, SpaceX.
Really?
Yeah.
SpaceX,
Get
when they
ready.
launch, if it's right.
Does it have that beautiful?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Get ready.
Yeah, if the timing is good, usually right before or right after sunset or sunrise, we can get just an absolutely beautiful view, especially the ones in the winter when it's completely clear.
Yeah.
You can stand on the beach and you can actually see it a couple of minutes after liftoff from Cape Canaveral.
Wow.
See the little orange glow, and then that disappears, and then you get the beautiful vapor trail. And you can watch it go all the way across, and then you can also see the boosters coming down over the ocean.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's fun to do.
Yeah, so
That's
we're
fun
going
to do.
from Chase and in Jonesboro, me and Ron would go and stand out back, and we'd watch for the Starlink satellites. Now
There you go.
Stop. When
Yeah.
was that?
Yeah.
This is from Jamie's. This was back in 2021.
Yeah.
So this was the one right before sunrise.
Yeah, we get a couple here
Wow.
that are really good.
That'll be really fun.
Yeah, they're really fun
Turn
to
the
watch.
cameras and just watch. I usually
Yeah.
watch them in the studio because it's in the morning.
Yeah, they're fun.
There's a couple in the evening, though. Yeah.
One of the other things that I love is your girlfriend.
Same. I thought about it last night. I was like, we should have her on the podcast.
I think we should, because I
And
think
that would
she
be the
have
first
some-
reporter, right?
Yeah, I think she's got some great stories, and she could probably. Well, she's already telling a lot of good stories about you. But you and Maddie came here as a package deal.
Yeah.
And I love that. So Maddie Sexton is going to be our new reporter, and you both moved here together,
We did.
and you now
She's
work
just
together.
as southern as him, too.
She is, and she is a spitfire. And I love her.
Reminds me of back
She's-
home, too.
Yeah,
I love it.
She's great.
She does not sugarcoat anything.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she'll tell me how it is, hurt my feelings, and then she might apologize for hurting my feelings, but she's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to apologize for being straight up with
Yeah.
you."
Yeah, I think we should have Maddie on.
Okay. I thought about it last night. I was like,
Yeah.
she would be, oh, that's your phone. She would be fantastic
She would.
for the podcast.
And then you can kind of ask her about her storm chasing experiences. That
Because
she,
you've drug her along, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah. We had a big day out there in Kansas. Models looked good all day. It showed storms coming off the dry line out there at like 3 o'clock. And then models started pushing it back 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And then you're kind of looking at the models, but you're also comparing what's actually happening, the observed, when I storm chase, the main thing I look at is trough and trough shape and trough timing. Well, this trough decided.
Same. I had to.
So this trough decided that it was going to slow down significantly. So models the day of had storms firing at 3 or 4 o'clock. We didn't get our first storm till right at 9:30, 10 o'clock. And I had to be back at work the next day. So when I left Jonesboro, I was thinking, about 10 or 11 o'clock, I'll be already headed home. No, that was when the chase started. I didn't actually leave. So we actually chased this storm all the way up, almost into southern Nebraska. So we drove 13 hours to Dodge City, ended up in Greensburg, then ended up, what's the interstate that runs through northern Kansas? Is that 70?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I-70 that runs through northern Kansas. So we ended up going all the way up to I-70 and then had a 13-hour drive
70
back.
sounds right.
So I actually left immediately from storm chasing, came home, got a suit and tie, and I was at work at like 1:45 in the afternoon.
And you took Maddie with you,
Yes.
and she's still with you.
Yeah. There was another day we went out to the Oklahoma Panhandle, and we saw a little funnel cloud near Buffalo, Oklahoma. Yeah.
Maddie came into the weather office yesterday, and Jay said, "Watch this," and pulled up the SKU and said, "Maddie, what's this?" and pointed to the top right of the SKU, and she said, "That's a hodograph." And I was like, "You got her trained."
She knows. Yeah, you give her a SKU, she can she can like find out where the cape's at. She can tell you if it's capped or uncapped.
Man,
I love it.
She knows what backed winds are. She knows where SRH is. She always says the EHI.
storm relative helicity.
Yeah. And then the EHI, the energy helicity index, definitely in the plains, that'll just blossom. She's like, "Oh, those are pretty pinks." I was like, "Yeah, pretty pinks. That's what we're looking for."
Yeah, look for the pretty pinks.
I can't wait to incorporate Jason, the weather show, severe weather, and just let him geek out. It's going to be a blast. Okay, so it's not weather, it's not space. What do you do in your free time?
I play video games.
Okay.
So we talked about it, Rocket League, MLB The Show, NCAA football. What a lot of people might not know about me and what Maddie brags on me for is the fact that I have played professional Call of Duty on semi-pro level, pushing pro.
Oh, I didn't know that was such a thing.
I didn't either.
Yeah, so
I'm not that good.
yeah.
And I don't know anything about these video game kids. These
We were
days.
nerding out when we had
My video
lunch.
games were Pac-Man at the arcade.
Great game.
I do enjoy Pac-Man.
Great game. I like the old school games.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, video game. I guess here I'm going to start going to the beach.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to. Fishing?
Yeah, that's something I wanted to get into. Yesterday, I did something really nerdy. So, I left work, went home, and grabbed my lawn chair, and I forgot where it was. I'm gonna pull up a map here to kind of figure out exactly where I was yesterday afternoon. But either way, so I went down to, what is this? So this is Dr. W. Leroy. Is that Harrelson Boulevard?
Harrelson Boulevard. Yep.
Yeah, so there's an on-ramp right there that takes you back to North Myrtle Beach, and I think you already know where I'm going.
I know exactly.
So
where
there
you're
was
going.
there was enough room where I was able to pull off the on-ramp there, like well off into the grass, grab my lawn chair, pulled up flight radar, and I just had planes flying over me.
Yeah.
Big
landed.
aviation guy.
Yes, terrified of I will not get in a plane unless it is just a dire emergency. So,
But you love to watch them.
Yes. So if something significant happens back home, and it's something that I can't change or anything like that, I'm making the 13-hour drive. But if it's just an absolute dire emergency, I will figure out what plane I need to get on to get there. I will not hesitate to get on a plane, fly to Kansas City, storm chase, fly back.
I was about to say he called a plane once a storm chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to love it here then because we get a lot of military aircraft.
Yeah,
telling
that's
about
what
that.
that's what he was telling me. So I think
F-18s, 16s.
I think we're gonna.
B-52s, you'll get them, and they'll do touch and go missions unannounced. But obviously, with flight aware, flight radar, you can see
and
them.
we get a lot of those in the summer. The big B-52s.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds
Big
of
ones.
Yeah.
And they do that. They use the Myrtle Beach airport because it has an extremely long runway because it used to be an Air Force base.
Yeah.
So that's why you get a lot of training missions.
And there's also an airport in North Myrtle Beach as well. I figured
It's
out
not
yesterday.
Much. It ain't much of an airport.
So.
Yeah, if you want to go watch planes, go watch the one in Myrtle
Yeah, do
Beach.
Myrtle Beach, not
Oh yeah. And
Spring
then
made pier, drink in the hand, and just
you said there's a good spot on the beach where they'll either take off or land. I think that in the mornings they're going to land from the beach, and then they swapped to landing from, I guess, the west during the evening hours.
And sometimes they'll even swap it back based on how strong the sea breeze is too.
Yeah.
So if you get a real gusty wind pushing, they'll actually prefer to come against it or even come with it, depending on the wind speeds.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge aviation nerd.
Good.
I will,
There's
I will
no
watch,
shortage of aviation around here.
Yeah, I'll watch planes, but boy, don't even
But don't
try
get
to
on
get me in.
Unless it's the storm chase.
Yes, or like I said, something real significant happens back home. But
And in fact, you're driving home in what, 2 weeks?
possibly, yeah, that's a real possibility. I bought a new car when I drove out here, and apparently I got to get it tagged and pay
I'm not
this.
talking about that. I'm talking about why you're going home.
Oh yeah, so I found.
I don't care about your car.
Oh, thanks.
There's a reason you're going home.
Yeah, so I did finally got access back to my email, and me and Chief Meteorologist Ron Vaughn, I'm sure Aaron and Christina, the other two Mets there, and then a few Little Rock Mets are getting, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, honored at the Arkansas Governor's Mansion by Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So.
That'd be
For
awesome.
your coverage of.
I think it's all the tornado coverages.
all of it,
I mean, I saw on Facebook where Ron Vaughn and Christina got awards. I can't remember from who, but yeah, they got some awards. So yeah, the community. So I will say this: after looking at a lot of different markets, like here it's hurricanes, but like Jonesboro, Oklahoma City, Dallas, places like that. I mean, it's like they do. I mean, Oklahoma, they storm chasing helicopters. I mean, they
Oh,
do
yeah.
they
Crazy.
do weather just totally different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, you're going to learn the beach ways. We're pretty laid back unless it snows once every 15 years.
That's the last time I've seen a ghost down here.
Yeah, when it snowed. Yeah, when it snowed.
I can tell you right now, if I see a single snow flurry, I'm going to get very upset. That's the one thing I cannot deal with. I mean, I'm also one of the people that if it's 30 degrees, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. But moving out here, I'm just hoping not to see any snow flurries. Something else I meant to ask you: ice storms. Are those kind of?
Every once in a while, we tend to get. It's hard to get a bona fide ice storm here at the beach. Inland areas tend to get them a little bit more. 2014, though, we actually had 2 back-to-back major historic ice storms within 3 weeks.
Inch and a half of ice or more?
We had inland Horry County had an inch, which around here's insane. Yeah,
2009, we got 2.5 inches of ice.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
2.5 inches of ice, that's catastrophic.
yeah.
I mean, I was out of power for 3 weeks, didn't have to go to school. And it was a catastrophic ice storm.
We had one of those in Kentucky. I think it was 2007?
2009, maybe?
It might have
Because
been
ours was in
2009. That would have
2009.
made sense from Arkansas to Kentucky. And we got an inch and a half, and we were out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Power was out everywhere. It
Yeah.
was one of those that I was like, dang, maybe.
And I'll never forget this. We had a pretty good snow, I think, year before last. And one of our reporters is from New Jersey. And, like, we were weather meeting, reporter meeting. He's like, what's the big deal? And I was like, it's going to snow 5 inches. He's like, if it snowed 2 feet, I was still going to school in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And he was standing out there doing, like, coverage in the snow with, like, no beanie, no gloves. And we come back, and we're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, just, it's snow, cool. And it's like, I'm out there, like, trying to build a snowman with Maddie and, like, honking,
Yeah.
like, snowballs at people.
It's the same way here.
That was us. Yeah, with our January snow, man, we were loving it, having an absolute time of our lives.
And
Did it snow on the beach?
Oh yeah, we had 5 inches.
Covered.
Yeah,
Sand covered, 5.5 inches.
That-
and it stuck for a week. Normally it snows here and it's gone by the afternoon.
Waves
But that
crashing
one,
into the snow. Just one of those views. It's beautiful.
Snow on palm trees.
Was it earlier this year or late last year when the Gulf Coast, like from Gulf Shores, they had beaches,
That
snow-covered
was our
beaches?
storm. Yeah. New
was that
Orleans.
the same
Yeah,
one?
Yeah, just rode right up the coast. Yep.
Wow.
Got our 5 inches.
What were the cities that we had more snowfall than?
a lot.
I mean, like
Yeah.
some cities that are so used to snowstorms.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we got more than them. So
That was good times.
Fun
That was our
times.
biggest snow since 1989. I got a lot
So
of
the
weather.
80s
We'll do
were
it again.
80s were big. That was when Hurricane Hugo was as well. Was that 80?
9.
Was that 89?
Hugo hit September 22nd, 1989. December 22nd, 1989, it started snowing. Snowed all the way through Christmas Eve. We ended up with 16 inches and the only white Christmas in the history of Myrtle
Stop.
Beach.
See, even in Arkansas, I've never had a white Christmas.
Yep.
I can tell you right now how many people back home would be jealous if we get a white Christmas out here and they're just like socked in clouds or something.
Well, they're probably already jealous because you live at the beach.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have a lot of company. Because once you move to the beach, people are like, hey, I want to come visit. 'Cause they
Yeah.
think they
And
have
for
a free
sure, I
place
had
to
all
stay.
kinds of people.
Yeah,
And they're like, yeah, I have a bunch of buddies. They're like, oh, we're gonna come down.
yeah.
Yeah, you come on down. Come on, we got you. We got you a couch.
Yeah, or there's plenty of hotels to pick from.
Yeah, but we can't do them like that.
I mean,
We can't tell them all to come to the beach.
depends
but-
on how close they are.
Watch me. If there's one thing I hate, it's a house guest.
Goodness.
Get out now.
What?
I'm old.
You won't be at Jamie's place.
So are you telling me you'll just send them to the hotel?
There's beautiful hotels. We can spend all day together, but in the morning I need to get up and have coffee by myself and not have to entertain people and keep them happy.
All right, you ready to shoot the breeze?
That's what happens when you get old.
What do you mean?
I love it. I love the honesty. So this is our segment called Shooting the Breeze.
Okay.
Viewers submitted questions, and for our guests, we usually have you answer them as well. We don't know
Okay.
what they're going to be.
Yep.
Just kind of pull
Total
them up.
surprise.
I mean, I know because I've typed them after collecting them, but you all don't. This comes in from Ann. How do you deal with a weird schedule, lack of sleep when the weather is busy? I mean, I
So
feel like
at KIT, we were dealing. There were days where we were just dealing with severe weather outbreaks. Back to back days. I don't know. You probably remember when I came in here for the station tour. I'm like, so where's the cot at? Because we behind the set we had a cot and we would just kind of rotate and take naps back there.
Yeah. I mean, you just deal with it. You just do what you have to do, and you, I don't know, you make up for it. And I'm always, there's some weeks where I'm like, it's kind of easy. Take a long dinner break, take a long lunch break, take it easy. And then there's going to be that week in September or that week that it's going to snow or the week of severe weather where we're, just working nonstop, and you just kind of deal with it and try to find the balance. Sleep when you can, especially hurricanes. I tend to lose a lot of sleep leading up
same.
to a hurricane coming in. So I try to take naps when I can. I try to go to bed early when I can ahead of those systems to get as much sleep as possible. Because if I don't get my right amount of sleep, I'm not a fun Jamie.
I've learned with big events, especially hurricanes, especially if you know that they're coming, because a lot of these times we're tracking these events a week and a half before we even know, hey, local impact, here we go. Once we kind of think, all right, hey, local impact could be imminent, I'll cancel everything outside of work, and I'll just go home after my shift and just start napping and napping and sleeping and napping and sleeping, checking models, because I know, and we're notorious for it, you and I are, when the event starts, I don't sleep. I laid down for Dorian. I tried to take like an hour nap for that. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like, especially if the wind and the rain's going, your adrenaline is just.
You can't sleep.
Yeah. So I just sleep in advance and then sleep after the fact and kind of ride through with Red Bull and coffee and whatever I need to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Good question, though.
So the sleep's important.
It
Definitely.
is.
Sure, yeah.
You don't get much sleep as it is, but so earlier this year we had 4 days of severe weather and tornadoes in Jonesboro, and that last day I was able to get off, so I worked late into the night, so I was able to go home and go to sleep. And I woke up to 7 a.m. to tornado sirens again. And, it was just a string of supercells moving through. And I turned it on. Ryan was probably at the station 24 hours straight. And at that point, it was kind of like, seriously? I rolled over and went back to sleep. I was so just exhausted that I I was like, it's been 4 days nonstop. I was ready to go back to sleep. And then I slept for about an hour and got up and went to work.
Yeah.
So, but that hour of sleep, that can get you through 6 more hours of coverage.
It's amazing what a quick power nap.
Yeah,
will
because we had more storms coming in that evening, so it was like I can't just be up all this time. So I went to sleep for an hour, and then we did continued coverage that evening. So.
Yeah.
So you're kind of in the routine because that's us with a hurricane. It's about a 4-day. Once you're in the cone and it's coming in and you're sleep when you can, and then the hurricane leaves and you crash and you die.
And you got flooding and damage.
Yeah, and you still got to go out. Yeah.
Have you lost power?
No.
At your house during hurricanes?
Oh yeah, driving home after every hurricane, just want to go to bed and it's hot and it's sticky in the house. And thankfully, I live on a main line, so I haven't gone really too far. I think the longest I've gone without power here since I've been here was Matthew, and I think I went 5 days without power.
What year was Matthew?
2016.
2016.
Yeah, and that was a good hurricane because it was mid-October, and the hurricane blew out and literally brought in fall. So like the nights after the hurricane, it was in the 40s and 50s, windows open, so it wasn't like miserably hot.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Yeah. Yeah. All right. My turn.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Ann. This one is for Jace.
Oh. Did you top this one out?
What is this?
Dale asked it. Let's see.
Who is Dale?
I don't know. Let's see.
And where did this come from?
What are you about to ask me? It's about to be a question now.
I don't know if I can read it.
Whoa.
This one is for Jace.
Okay.
Can you please explain the quasi-geostrophic omega equation? From Dale. And go.
I wrote that one. That's the only one I fibbed on, just to make his face freak out.
I was like,
That's a little thermodynamic meteorology and a synoptic forcing.
See what I'm going to have to deal with, these two country
can you
bumpkins.
explain it?
I know what the premise is. Basically, vertical lifting air is what we do. So that actually does the difference of your temperature gradients and basically is the large synoptic forcing to be able to tell us, and it's what models ingest for rising and sinking air. So basically, at the end of the day, it's our jet stream. Anyways, though, but we had to do, in calculus, thermodynamics, you had to do the derivative of all those individual pieces. So, yeah.
So
Snooze alert for you.
We do a lot of. Well, we took a lot of math classes.
Are y'all done?
Yeah.
You done?
How much calculus do you use on a daily basis?
None. None. And
I was gonna say I don't know what he's a lot.
None.
Thanks, Dale.
So here's something you've got to learn about, Dale. Here's something you got to learn about. Can you please explain how king tides happen?
Bro, what is this?
King tides.
They're gonna take my degree away if you keep asking.
I never learned about king tides in school.
What
either.
is that, are those
king
like
tides.
rogue waves? Or?
No. We have king tides
Okay.
that are abnormally high tides, and it brings coastal flooding around here, and it's all due to the moon.
Gravitational pull.
Apogee, perigee, which is the moon being furthest, the moon being closest, and king tides are when the gravitational pull of the moon is at its strongest. So let's break it down really simple with tides. Okay, so here's Earth. Here's Earth, covered in water. Here is the moon circling the Earth. As it does so, you think of the tide that rises and falls every 6 hours. It's not that it's necessarily rising and falling, but the gravitational pull of the moon is actually trying to pull the water. So there's basically a mound of water that follows the moon around the Earth, and that's how you get tides. And then with a king tide, it's just a stronger pull and a higher high tide.
And how often we see those?
Oh,
We get king tides
year.
every couple of months.
It's usually 4 to 5 times a year.
Yeah.
For the big ones.
Yeah.
The good news is you don't have to forecast it. They know
Yeah.
when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But based on the values they're expecting with the larger tides, that's when we could see some coastal flooding and stuff like that.
But now you get a king tide with a nor'easter, a king tide with a tropical storm or hurricane, then you start talking big issues because you already have a high tide, a higher tide because of the king tide, and then if you throw in an onshore wind, you can get some big coastal flooding issues. Yeah.
Are they bigger waves?
No.
No, just
This just water just comes up. We'll have to take you up to Cherry Grove for a king tide. Let you watch it come in. It's amazing. Creeps in through the canals.
They'll close roads.
Creeps in through the all the manhole, the storm drains. Seawater creeps in and floods, and then it goes back down, and everybody goes about business.
like it never happened.
Yeah.
I don't want a 3 hour, 4 hour window depending on how strong it is.
Yeah, we've got very flood-prone areas for coastal flooding. They're kind of used to it. Yeah. All right, one more?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, it's yours.
Oh,
yeah.
wow,
We'll let you do it. Yeah.
I get to pick one. Let's see here. So this is from Adam. What effects does sea breeze have on your forecast? It seems like we hear about it a lot more this time of year.
We live and breathe the sea breeze. Starting usually, sometimes as early as late February. If we get really warm weather, late February, you start getting the sea breeze, and then it's a big impact from here all the way through maybe early August is when it's kind of the most impactful.
Yeah, because mid-August it gets pretty stagnant.
You kind of stop losing the sea breeze. So the sea breeze basically happens because the land heats up quick, warm air rises. As that happens, you have to have something to replace it. So you get the cooler air from over the ocean that comes in and sort of pushes in as the sea breeze and almost acts like a little miniature cold front, which is why the beaches are typically a little cooler than inland areas because we are getting that sea breeze. But then you get all the other issues where sea breeze brings in higher humidity. So early in the spring, that's when you have to deal with sea fog issues, which are horrible.
Oh, awful.
Hate sea
We'll
fog
bust
days.
the forecast quicker
sea
than
fog
anything.
will kill a forecast.
About like 12, 15
fog.
degrees.
Yeah. The sea breeze sparks off storms.
Very frequent.
And very frequently, especially as we start getting really into June and July, the sea breeze is kind of the driving force behind our daily thunderstorm activity. And then also the kind of the weird thing that we were all talking about the other day, if you have the sea breeze, you have storms coming in the west. We're still in that season where storms coming in the west hit the sea breeze, fall apart. So you get nothing but leftover clouds and a sprinkle at the beach. There's kind of that magical time, late June, July, where the water temperatures have warmed up enough that as the sea breeze comes in, it brings in really insanely high humidity. So storms coming in the west then start to explode. And it gives them a little shot in the arm and they get really strong. That's usually when we get our biggest storms down here at the beach.
Yeah, for sure.
They latch onto that boundary as well. So,
And the sea breeze is it just does weird things. A pinned sea breeze.
I think that's going to be your fascination here too. Just knowing how you storm chase and like focusing on boundaries. I think you're going to love the sea breeze.
Yeah.
Every afternoon, just watching it on radar and then just explode.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch. And then you have a west wind and you get a pinned sea breeze, and that's how we get our hot days. And one of my favorite setups, a sea breeze, a pinned sea breeze, and a backdoor cold front sliding down the coast will always throw out some weird, crazy storms. The north end of the Grand Strand tends to be a little more sea breeze prone because of the shape of the coast. But there have been many times, especially if you do have kind of a west wind in the summer, where like you can watch the observations at North Myrtle Beach. It'll be 90. Sea breeze blows in. It'll drop to 84. And then the synoptic west winds kick in and the sea breeze will push back and they'll go back up to 90. And they'll do that in 15 minutes. And it just, sometimes it snakes and wavers. Sometimes it'll blow all the way up past Charlotte. The sea breeze is always fascinating.
Yeah, you'll thrive on that. That's fun, and it always makes the forecasting a little bit more challenging.
Yeah,
especially when you first start here, because you're like, wait, what? Real quick, I want to get to this one because our morning anchor asked it for Jace, and it would be weird if you were not here when we did this next week. This one's for Jace. Other than the beach, what's your first tourist thing you all plan to do here? This is from Lauren.
Golf.
Yeah.
Golf. Yeah.
We're golfing.
You two are going golfing.
Yeah, we're going to see how that goes. I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Find some tee times.
find some tee times and
Go for it.
we'll book it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So,
Golf. Let's see what else. Maddie was talking about. I think she has. I think she wants to like kill me because she's like, let's go bungee jumping. Let's go on go-karts. And I was like, I don't do bungee jumping. I was like, what if the string breaks?
Yeah.
And she's like, you won't have to worry about it. But I was
I
like,
love Maddie so much.
and then, but Maddie's also been like skydiving. And I'm like, what are you going to do if the parachute don't open? She's like, well, enjoy the 30 seconds. It won't be my problem. And I'm like, how about you just not do it?
Yeah.
But she wants to do bungee jumping. She wants to go ride on the helicopter. She has all these plans that involve all the things I'm just terrified of, which is hot.
Y'all are going to have such a fun summer
Yeah.
doing all the touristy things, and then you're going to be over it, but still, you're just going to have the best summer.
So, fun fact about the helicopter. I didn't do it, but I had a friend who did it just for personal experience. So, it says $20 helicopter ride. That's just to get you in the air. And then they ask if you want to go to the beach, which is an additional fee. So,
Yeah.
just be ready to pay more than $20.
You think Maddie'd say yeah to that?
Oh, yeah, she would, yeah.
And you got to do like the sky wheel at least once. That's to see the
Oh,
beach
is that
there.
the Ferris
Fer-
wheel?
Ferris wheel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do Ferris wheels either.
Yeah.
No,
That one's-
they make me so sick, motion sickness.
Oh, and yeah.
Yeah, so I can't do I get really bad motion sickness. So like so we went to having drivers in the storm tracker. So they would put me in the passenger seat, and we were chasing on April 2nd in the Ozarks. And we had to pull over. I got so car sick, and I pulled over, kind of,
Oh, boy.
threw up out the door from the motion sickness, and then we got a tornado right outside of Cave City like 10
Maybe
minutes
it's good
later.
luck.
Oh, yeah.
So
No. Yak and then find a tornado. There you go.
yeah,
Just don't be yakking in any of our cars or the weather office, and we're good. All right.
That's going to do it. For your information, like your socials, where can people find you, Jace? Plug you away.
Meteorologist Jace Passmore on Facebook, and then just Jace Passmore 1 on X. Like I said, this time of year, definitely May and June, X is very rarely installed on my phones because of the severe weather in the plains. So I'm not very active on X. Once we get into the fall and stuff like that, then I'll start becoming more active on X. But this time of the year, I don't even have Twitter on either one of my phones, and I'm logged out on my laptop. So
You're missing a lot.
Yeah. A lot of good
Man.
videos.
yeah,
Man, there were some good ones yesterday.
yeah. So
We won't talk about it. We'll wait till you leave the room.
though I did see where Reed Timmer was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just launched his rocket directly into that tornado. I mean, he was just right there. Just launched that rocket right into it. I'm like,
Oh, well, that is Jace Passmore.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Rednecks with YouTube channels and podcasts.
We'll talk to y'all later.
This has been great. Coming up next week,
Coley, if he's in.
Gully.
The following week, CCMF.
Yeah. And then are we taking a break?
I don't know. We'll see.
We may take a little summer break for a little while. Also, I confirmed my trip to Hurricane House.
Okay,
Josh
cool.
Morgerman. So
We can talk about that on the podcast.
we'll
too.
have some chit chats about that.
Cool. Sounds good. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Thanks, y'all.